One of the objects I like to add into my website is tooltips. Tooltips help provide more information about an object when the mouse is placed over it. So it's kind of similar to a title attribute that you add to your links on that part. But the main difference when we're working with jQuery UI and using the Tooltip widget, it allows you to format that tooltip to fit the color scheme of your website. So we can add any type of tooltip that we want to our page. So like here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to join now. I want to modify this code here. So I'm going to add a tooltip to it. Okay, and we're going to see how that reacts on that part. Now, when we look at the code, I am going to go in and modify the join now, which is right here. Okay, and I'm going to add to the paragraph tag here a class, and I'm going to also go in and add a title attribute. The class is going to help us be able to look for that specific tooltip to be able to format it, and the title attribute is used to help us create that tooltip that we want. Now I'm going to save this, and I'm going to bring in the page and we'll refresh here. So when I bring my mouse over to join now, there's the tooltip. It's small, it's hard to read, and so we want to customize that and format it to look a little bit better. And that's where this with this jQuery UI Tooltip widget comes in play. So what we're going to do here is very simple. Okay, is we're going to add in our script section, we're going to have a document.ready section that when the page loads, make sure this runs correctly. Now we have to tell JavaScript or jQuery UI library to look for a certain class and be able to apply the tooltip option or tooltip formatting that we want. So what we're going to do here is we're going to simply just do $, and then in quotation marks .content, which is the class, and then just simply .tooltip. Okay. Now if I refresh and bring this over, you're really I'm sorry, you're not really going to see too much anything major. So what we need to do now is we're going to have to format it and do some other things to it to make it stand out. This is where you have to understand how styles are applied to the UI library. Every widget that you have has its own set of styles that you have to apply correctly. If you don't, then the styles will not come out the way you want. So you have to basically go in, and most of the UI aspects, you know, functions or widgets that you add, you have to format it a certain way. So once you add it in, now it comes down to the CSS. Now what we're going to do here is in my style sheet over here on the right hand side, I'm going to have to use what we call the .ui-tooltip. So again, I have to put this in right, because if I don't, it won't apply it. So this name here is the most important part. It's going to take a look at the tooltip widget that you just told it to run, and then it's going to say, hey, apply all this formatting. It's going to add some padding. It's going to add a white color. It's going to change the corner radius. It's going to change the font to be a certain size. It's going to be all uppercase and add a little shadow. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is once I have the style sheet in, I'm going to reload here, refresh. I'm going to come down here, and you can see that it's automatically applying the tooltip. It's going to go from one left edge of the browser to the right edge, and right now it's still hard to read. You can see the shadow, you can see the border, so we need to add a couple more styles here for it to stand out. And what we're going to do here is very simple. I'm going to go in and add a little background color. I'm going to reduce the width of my styles. This is all CSS. This has nothing to do with jQuery UI. The only thing that you have to worry about is the name, and you have to do it this way. But everything else in here is just simple CSS styles. So once I save this and I come over and refresh or reload, as you can see here, now it has a green background. It's 25% less, or 25% width of the browser size, and it fits our color scheme. The font size is larger, so it's easier to read. Now, once you start working with tooltips, you can do other things to it. Like, for example, you can actually apply effects to how this tooltip appears. So what we'd have to do is we have to modify and put the properties within the parentheses of the tooltip function. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put a curly brace here. I'll put another curly brace here, because what I'm doing is everything in here is going to be a set of properties. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in the method. And this is where you have to look it up in the Tooltip method for jQuery, so you can see the methods that you can apply here, properties. And we're going to simply type in show colon. And what I want to do here is I'm going to have two effects I want to apply. So I have to put that inside curly brackets. So the first effect, I just want to go in and say effect. I'm going to type in the name of the effect, slide down. This is a effect that is jQuery UI, so there's other effects you can actually add, like explode, toggle, and things like that. And then we're going to add another property, so I'm going to put a comma in, and I'm going to have it delay a very short amount of time. So that means, why am I having delay? Well, if I bring my mouse over, and maybe I'm just navigating my browser, and I move my mouse over, I'm just saying if I bring my mouse on a certain area, I want to keep it there for just a short amount of time, then the tooltip will appear. So if you don't delay it, it automatically shows, and so that kind of can get confusing to the user. So I'm delaying it a little bit. And then I'm going to close it off with a curly brace. And so now I'm going to reload here. I'm going to come down. Oops, I got one thing wrong here. Let me just correct that real quick. And it's very simple. The effect's name has to be a capital D there. Slide down. You have to match it case sensitive on that part. So that's a minor issue, and I wasn't paying attention on that. So let me refresh. Okay. Notice the animation. See how it slides down? So it's a very subtle effect. And it's a delay effect, so it doesn't open up right away. You have to keep your mouse there for a second or two. Now there are a variety of different properties you can add to the tooltip. So looking up the tooltip's website in the browser to see all the different methods is always important, because you can see other controls that you can go in and work with. The benefit of the tooltip, like I said before, is you can control the formatting of the tooltip so it matches your color scheme. So if you go to jQuery UI's website and you look at the examples that they have here, you can actually create what we call a custom animation. So what happens here, you can click on this and it creates that effect that you're working with. You can also, when you hide it, you can have it explode or do other effects. So right now, the only effect I have is when showing. You can also hide it as well. You can go in and customize your styling, as we saw here. So it fits the color scheme you're working with. Then down here at the very bottom, we go to API documentation. This is where you're going to find more information about the different options that you can work with. Here's the show option, here's the hide option. So if you want to affect the hide, where it means you move your mouse off of it, you can also have an effect as well. So there's different things you can do here, and they talk about the different properties within this. And here in the theming, this is where we look at where we brought in the UI tooltip. This is basically controlling the outer container. You can also change and format the content of the tooltip, where the text is. So that can be also controlled as well.